They were going for you.
Of course they're going for me. Thank you.
Sí, bro. Sí, bro.
That's just
Did I start from 0 stacks or something? I don't need it.
yeah.
I might be doing some damage. They're out, they're out. Nah, I mean, bro. Why'd you have to die? I need to. Hi everyone, what's good? Hope you guys enjoyed the intro gameplay. I'm just remaking my Backfire build as I had it at the end of last year, which is when this gameplay video was recorded. And I just want to show you the build here with a few tips and tricks, because I know what it's like. I make a gameplay video and everybody comes in the chat, oh, but what's the build? What's the build? Everyone is so obsessed with the build when what you really need to do is just enjoy the gameplay for what it is. I popped off with this gun many times and I never made a build video about it, and a build that basically starts with very little damage is difficult to compete against bighorns that do so much more damage, and then they get to foam you in close range. Of course, any crit build is not going to be able to afford hazard rolls, so what ends up happening is if you don't have the damage to kill a bighorn player off rip, you just die. In order to make this build, you go 4-piece striker, catharsis, must pick, and then if you're playing solo or in a small team, you go with efficient, or if you like overextending by yourself, you definitely main efficient. But you can, if you are being supported quite well by a competent support player, you can go with Sokolov and obliterate. Adding a red, adding obliterate is quite a big damage difference in addition to the healer buff. So you could go from hitting maybe like 280k crit body shots to something like 350, 400k crit body shots. If you just checked my short that I just uploaded, you will also see me hitting about that damage, if not 450k, but I was under modifiers, which, you know, way back when that was a thing, was quite overpowered and broken. I had joined a group, it wasn't intentional, just so I'd clarify. But yeah, I mean, basically you go either with obliterate or you go with... Now, one of the reasons why I think that people have not really picked up to the fact that this gun is actually insanely strong is because there is another weapon in the same category, the cheated box. They're probably the lowest skill weapon to ever be added to this game. With the chatterbox, all you got to do is go to a cheese spot like the staircase, or maybe camp the safe room, hiding behind a wall and a healer. You don't even have to have any stacks. All you got to do is shoot one bullet, reload. You got max stacks, shooting like, what was it, 2,200 RPM thereabouts. And all you got to do is run intimidate and adrenaline rush. Any damage you lose from the backpack and you lose from catharsis, it doesn't matter, because the only damage that matters with that build is having it all up front for the very first beam. As long as you down that first player, your magazine will get refilled. You have no recoil. You don't have to worry about spread. You don't have to worry about mag size. You don't have to worry about movement. You don't have to worry about anything. So unfortunately, the backfire seems to have taken a backseat. But if this weapon ever gets balanced, like it really seriously has to get balanced, man. This shit is ridiculous. You may very well start to see backfire users cropping up, but it is a slightly different playstyle. So just so you guys are aware, stacks are 100. Right, each bullet is 1 stack, and each stack gives you 2% crit damage, and the only thing you got to do to maintain your stacks is shoot 1 bullet on target to anything, a skill, a player, an NPC. That will refresh your timer. So here we are in the firing range, shoot 1 bullet. As soon as you complete the reload, you will start to bleed. This is why I do like efficient, because what it means you can do is you can peek an angle, land a few shots, right, putting out that, you can make it, then you can go for a bit more of an extended beam, build up a few stacks. Right, you're starting to build up stacks, but as soon as you get to about maybe 40-50 on striker, about the same amount on the backfire, and provided you've been taking some damage, you should be in a position where you can fight. The sticky is going to be very, very important. Like I showed you in my last build video with Striker, playstyle isn't really all that different from Bighorn. You don't have the range of Bighorn. You don't have the off-rip damage as you do with Bighorn. But what you do have is body shot damage. And arguably more sustained, because I do run this with 6 blue. After you reload about 3 times, every time that you reload and you bleed, you actually have to, like, if I miss bullet and reload, it doesn't make me bleed again. My timer is counting down, but if I land another bullet, refresh the timer, it'll make me bleed again. You see, I didn't actually bleed that time because I hit the diminishing return. See, look, I'm still not bleeding. I'm not at 100 stacks, but I'm not bleeding. And now I bleed again because diminishing returns has expired, and then I have to then build up my diminishing returns again. This does mean, if I'm not mistaken, that every now and then, after you've reached your threshold, you can then run through a fire grenade and not get set on fire. Now, I thought fire was part of a different status group for the diminishing returns, right? But my experience is there are many times where I am not on fire when I feel like I should be, so be aware of that. Maybe you can sort of peek a few times, and then when you see yourself that you're not bleeding, drop a decoy, and then you can push. But yeah, that's the build. If you want to run this in the modern day against the current meta, which is just heavy Bighorn, heavy Umbra, upfront damage, you may want to actually take a couple of your pieces with crit damage, okay, and change it for hazard. Why? Because Backfire is giving you 200 crit damage. You already have plenty of crit damage on the build. You're going to have diminishing returns on the stat itself, so by losing 2 or even 3 rolls, it really isn't that big a deal. So this is the whole point. If you were to chuck 3 rolls, you lose 36 crit damage, which in the grand scheme of things isn't very much, because if I'm starting at 108, I'm ending up at 308. The point is, if I have 40 hazard and I get healed by a healer, I'm going to have 90 hazard fairly frequently. What you can do is you can drop your decoy and add a booster hive, and then you can put one of your rolls back to crit damage. Depending on the situation, you're going to need to use your brain here a little bit. Like this, you're going to have the offensive push condition that the sticky gives you, and then the booster, if for example you overextend, drop it before you shoot on a med kit, of course, and then you should be able to make some plays away from your team. By having that healer, it's going to give you that hazard you need. You're going to have to fight Bighorn players face to face. If you're on a med kit against a Bighorn player and you're building stacks, if they start to deal a bit too much damage than you, you should have enough armor to dip, tap a kit, and then get back behind your team, go for a full med kit, all right? And then when your healer's ready to give you another burst heal, you go for a beam. When you get beamed, your healer drops the heal on you, gives you that 50 hazard, stops the foam getting in the way, and you're going to be tracking them. You're going to be doing so much damage with this weapon that, well, quite frankly, you'll be surprised. And because the playstyle isn't like Chatterbox, the gun does actually have a fairly good range. A slower firing weapon also means that your 50 rounds do last you quite a long time. You can very comfortably kill 2 people in 1 magazine, whereas a Chatterbox, if you miss your shots for just a split second, your mag could be empty, and if you're not surrounded by 5 players, you could be low on stacks. Chatterbox may not be the weapon for you in street combat. The Backfire is definitely more tuned to street combat, whereas the Chatterbox is more tuned to staircase combat. That's the end of the build video. Back to the gameplay. Enjoy. Go back. Bro, what the fuck is... Where's this damage coming from? I don't know where my damage is, bro.
I almost have 5 boys.
Behind.
Bro, I'm actually challing with a fucking SMG. I got no meds. Fuck. I'm gonna stagger him, get ready to shoot him. Go. He's pushing me aggressively. I go back. I'm wrong. That's cheating. Ah, don't worry, load. Fire LMG, man.